best of ones resolved and get everybody in those positions locked and loaded for Fearless next week. I'm Captain Flowers, that's Azael, this is the LTA, and it's time for FlyQuest versus Dig.
I feel like your shirt was kind of coordinating with the background.
Yeah, it kind of worked.
It kind of worked.
Half
It
green,
did.
half yellow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, so let's see what kind of coordination we can get in the draft here as FlyQuest off to a very, very heavy solo lane focus here in the bans with Yone, Gwen, and Rumble banned out. Cassio, Ryze, and Varus, the bans from Dignitas, locking in Vi first here for FlyQuest. I would tell you how surprised I am, Azael, but it's just, it's zero at this point. Yeah. She's in every single game.
Yeah, absolutely, and she's getting first pick pretty much every single time. Talia is up, and that's often been getting picked away after the Vi gets grabbed, but this time it is not done by Dignitas. So we'll be interested to see if Quad would want to go for Talia to try to have that combo. Because right now it is just the Azir, the Sejuani. It's all scaling there for Keine and Sheiden.
Now, on the Dignitas side, yesterday, they got their first win. We mentioned it in the intro. They took down Disguise to get that done. And I think that Sheiden was a big part of that win that Dignitas was able to secure. Although today's mission is decidedly more difficult, jungling up against Inspired, who has just been top-of-the-table jungler here in North America for a while now.
Yeah, I mean, you're ramping up the difficulty in literally every single position, right? Yeah. So it is going to be a much bigger ask. That being said, even before their win yesterday, Dig has been close against all of the other top 4 teams. They actually had a pretty good lead on Saturday against 100 Thieves. In previous weeks, they actually were up in gold around 30 minutes against both FlyQuest and C9. So they have had games where they have been quite close to actually at least being like, they were close to winning in as far as like they weren't one push away, but they were competitive in those games against some really tough teams. So we'll see if they can make that happen here today. It is a Karma being grabbed up on 3. So to me then, it's going to be probably an Ezreal ban. Or something along those lines for FlyQuest. Varus is obviously banned out this time by Dig. That's the only reason it's not picked in the first 3. But I'm looking at Karma as a pairing with some of these kind of poke champs, maybe like Ashe and Ezreal. What about that type of thing? Caitlyn could also really work as well, because generally that is the answer into Kalista, especially Kalista Renata. Renata does not deal well with poke. Renata really excels against hard engage style champions, so that's why people like to go for these range picks. And it's also why, even though Kalista is really high priority, it only really gets let through when teams have a plan to answer it, and that's why its win rate isn't really that stellar.
Yeah, it's a very, very strong combo, specifically with the Renata like you're talking about, but it does seem like every single time it's let through, the answer is always going to be some very powerful, oppressive in-lane duo. Yeah. That's why I think you're right on the money, expecting something with a lot of range, the ability to try to punish this, and kind of just remove the extra edge that the team drafting Kalista wants to get for themselves.
And that's what FlyQuest thinks as well. They banned out the Ezreal, as I was saying, so it's going to be curious to see if they are really worried particularly about like Ashe or Caitlyn or anything like that, or if they're just going to be throwing a ban elsewhere. On the other side, the 2 classic pairings with the Vi from mid lane are both going to be getting banned out, as the Talia is removed, as is the Ahri. So not going to be able to grab that for Quad in that second phase, and we're just waiting for that final ban. It is Caitlyn, so Ashe still something that could be available if you want. There you go. You know, it was going to be kind of one of those, so it is Ashe. Those are the 3 that we mentioned. These are the obvious pairings to me. And so 2 of them get banned. That means you're giving up the other. So it is going to be Ashe and Karma that they have to deal with. Really strong laners. Definitely can poke you, can stay out of range. But that being said, if you can find that hard engage, if you can get in on top of them, they are vulnerable.
Okay, so back over on FlyQuest side, the Sylas is going to get locked in. Immediately, one thing I'm noticing, he has 2 massive glacial ultis to steal away to try to start up these fights or follow it up with CC once we start getting into the team fights against the Sejuani, against the Ashe. And man, this FlyQuest comp, they are built to go in.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense because when you don't have an engaged support, you want secondary engage somewhere else. You don't want it to just be your Vi going in on her own.
Yeah.
So it is going to be Sion. That gives even more of an ability to kind of fly in there.
It's full send.
Exactly. It is absolutely full send here. It is going to be Aatrox over on the other side. So a couple good ultis to steal. You're mainly looking at Azir, Sejuani, and Ashe as the key ultimates that Sylas would be looking to steal. Srtty is definitely going to have the advantage in that top lane 1v1. Aatrox pretty difficult for tanks to deal with. You have a lot of sustain, you have a lot of consistent damage, you can get the advantage and try to run over these matchups, but that being said, Sion, one of the safest tanks in the top lane 1v1. All your abilities deal AoE damage, you can clear out the waves, you can all back the lane if you're really in trouble. You're difficult to dive because then you go zombie form and you pick up all those minions anyway. He's hard to punish, so I don't expect Bwipo to get way down. But it's going to be an interesting game. You know, and the more I think about the AD bans, I think it makes more sense to ban out the Caitlyn and the Ezreal than the Ashe, because you know, the Ashe is the one with the least safety. There's no dash in the kit, right? There's no 90 caliber net or you know, shift or anything like that. So if they do get in on top of the Ashe, the only chance you have to escape actually here is going to be that flash, which makes things a lot more difficult.
And of course, she will have the Karma next to her. We know the power of the shields and the speed ups from the different supportive abilities that she can bring can give that little extra bit of peeling potential. But that's why I like just how everything on FlyQuest is built to dive in to go for this threat. Karma might be able to peel off one threat, maybe even two, but the whole team dogpiling in is a much different situation. And Dignitas is going to need every bit of that momentum that they started to build yesterday to have a chance against FlyQuest here. Because even though FlyQuest lost, I think that their loss yesterday was one of the most exciting matches, if not the most exciting match we've had here in LTA all year. Like, that had some really great fights in it, lots of things coming right down to the wire, and you know that FlyQuest does not want to be dropping another game here at the very final hour to Dig.
Absolutely, and I mean, if they win here and C9 drops, then it doesn't matter that they lose the head-to-head because they have an additional win over Cloud9, right? So they could still be playing for that first place in the positioning phase, so definitely need to make sure that you are getting it done. But this is how Kalista has done in 2025 in the LTA North, 0-6. But look at the pick ban, 97%, almost never goes through. That is because it is pretty much getting perma-banned. When it goes through, like I said, it's because the teams have a plan to deal with it. So we will see how Massu and Busio can do. To be fair, it's also not usually the top teams that are always going to be getting it through, right? So sometimes the records can be a little bit misleading. Although this split, it has actually been top teams that have gone through with it. It's been Sion playing it twice and FBI playing it once. And then the other 3 games would have been last split.
I always do find those stats interesting when you look at characters that have a massive pick ban, but most of it is ban. Because a lot of the times, I think you're absolutely right. It only gets through when one team is like, no, we beat these guys no matter what. We'll let them take it. We'll see what our practice against it, what our read against it feels like. But yeah, not the case here. Massu and Busio being one of those top bot lane duos in the league. I'm expecting them to be able to have quite a large amount of efficacy with this bottom lane duo. We know how fearsome Kalista and Renata can be. If they get ahead in the game, it becomes so difficult to try to engage on them. Renata can peel for Kalista so well. Kalista can save Renata from anything. And also just having Kalista against Ashe, you went back and talked about how, oh yeah, I like banning the Ezreal and the Caitlyn because of the Ashe's mobility. Ashe's big strength in being able to set up a pick, maybe just take out that squishy support so easily, is nullified by Kalista's Fate's Call.
Yeah, absolutely. It does make things a lot more difficult. And then, of course, if Massu gets tagged, he is playing Cleanse. That being said, you know, while Renata obviously going to be nice against the Aatrox, going to be nice against, you know, Sheiden on the Sejuani, when you look at kind of this bot side 3 of Ashe, Azir, and Karma, it is all very low commitment as far as getting damage out, right? You know, you're throwing out mantra Qs, you're throwing out volleys, your longer auto attack range, the soldier range is pretty far as well. And that makes things very difficult for Massu, you know, in these later game stages. So we'll see how he's going to be able to handle that, as Busio was moving out to sweep that ward. Inspired's clearing top to bot, so they're just trying to put that little threat of that Vi gank coming in, and we could see that Bwipo was doing very well in that 1v1 up on top side. Of course, hasn't forced out the potion yet from Srtty, but is getting some nice trades and did have the push. But he is playing weak side, so has to be careful now, as when you're shoving that wave and you kind of have it in this neutral state that top lane is, where it's not quite crashed to the tower, you have to then really be aware that Sejuani could be up here, so if you overextend, you could be in trouble, and that's why he's just kind of sitting back and only CSing from range right now, knowing there is a possibility Sejuani could come.
And going back to what we talked about in draft a little bit here, is Busio lands the handshake onto Isles, but the tether and retaliation makes it a trade that still favors Dignitas overall. I really want to see what Sheiden can do in this game, because I think that when you look across the board at each individual role matchup, FlyQuest has the advantage pretty much everywhere. So that means Dignitas can't be expecting to win fair fights reasonably, right? So Shaiden's got to make those fights unfair, and I think that he's really going to need to be dialed in to be able to find those angles up against a jungler like Inspired, whose pathing normally seems so effective, whose decisions are normally such high value.
It's also interesting here because Sheiden, you know, he cleared brought to top, whereas Inspired did the opposite, but then Sheiden crossed back over to go towards bottom scuttle. So that to me, you know, was thinking, okay, maybe he assumed that it was going to be Inspired going for top scuttle, but Inspired, I think, did spot him on that ward, so he should have the CS count and should know that top scuttle is up, and that means he's going to go straight to it. He counts the CS, he knows that's available, so now as a result, Inspired will double scuttle. So nicely done by him. Sheiden with a bit of a guess, or maybe just wanting to play towards that bot, expecting they would have prio, ends up not getting either of the scuttles. So it is that slight advantage. Bwipo, though, TPing in very aggressively, and that's an Ashe and a Karma. They can slow you down, and I think he's giving over first blood. Yeah,
there's a lot of sticking power between these two kids with the slows. The lockup, Bwipo can still walk away from it, though. It's calculated. He's fine. Doesn't even have to spend the flash, but Isles and Tomo do have total control over this bottom wave that they're about to crash into the turret.
Yeah, and the question is, can he actually stay and farm this wave now, right? You know, great, he didn't die. That is definitely nice, but at the same time, look at all these waves coming up. This is going to be a triple stacked wave. You do not want to give all of that up. And if you sit there and you go, okay, time to charge up a Q and get some minions, you're going to get a Mantra Q to the face. You're going to be tanking that damage. So we'll see how much Bwipo can tank up. Does have the Soul Furnace available, so he's able to pretty much fully absorb that. And looks like he is going to be healthy enough to at least grab the cannon, grab the melees, and we'll see if he wants to actually try to step forward for the range ones, which are generally the more difficult to grab.
Yeah, nicely done from Bwipo there. Isles and Tomo, unfortunately, not getting a meaningful punish on that aggressive teleport that we saw. Bwipo still with the flash. His health bar continuing to climb back up from where it was, just the natural regeneration of the character.
I apologize, I was not familiar with the game.
It's the Bwipo game plan, man. Play aggressively, get in their face, and honestly, no punish from Dignitas means that that was the right call to make. Bwipo can get that wave fully cleared out. Isles with a bit of a greedy recall position, now going to have his own recall interrupted, as Bwipo is just honestly flexing on these guys in a 1v2.
Tomo had to cancel his recall twice as well, so they're actually losing a lot of tempo off that. And to be fair, you know, obviously Ashe had not yet based, so he TP'd down there. He did have a chain vest. You're just fighting against that Doran's Blade and the World Atlas on Isles, so they don't have a lot of damage in the kit. And because he twice delayed their recalls, now no one is actually going to be there to actually catch these minions down on bot side. They're not swapping Srtty over. He's not TPing down to catch this wave or anything like that. So it's just Tomo heading down towards bot. That means not only does Bwipo get everything, he denies pretty much an entire wave to that bot lane in the 1v2 situation.
And not just the wave you're denying any chance of Dignitas being able to have their bot lane duo up towards the top half of the map if they wanted to ever try to contest the grubs. I was watching a little bit of Audieland's stream the other day when he was going back over one of Lion's games and just talking about the consequences of having people even somewhat late on a rotation and how that can have these compounding, snowballing effects on the upcoming decisions you're trying to make, and it affects everybody across the map. So Dignitas, they'll at least be able to trade the neutral objectives, go for the first dragon themselves. The Ocean Drake, obviously one of the more valuable ones early on, being able to give some extra regeneration for that lane sustainability. But now it's Isles up top here, trying to make sure that Massu and Busio can't really put the pressure on Srtty, who's down below half HP as this wave is about to crash.
Yeah, you can see Massu, his record on Kalista. While we did touch in on the fact that it hasn't done so well in the LTA North this year, Massu, career-wide, has done very well on it. Of course, generally they win a lot. He's on FlyQuest. They've been doing well pretty much his entire time with the team, but he is a very good Kalista player. And Bwipo, now you can see this is kind of that problem again, because he crashed the wave. Not only do you deny those minions from Tomo, but it also means then the wave stacks and pushes towards your opponent, so Bwipo then has more to farm. So as a result, you're going to have that CS advantage in both bot and top lane. And Bwipo definitely getting the maximum out of this. And you can see he already has that early longsword. So I'm going to be interested to see, you know, where he's going. I'm assuming it's just going to be back towards the Titanic that we saw last time, which not only gives you really good wave clear, but does give you very high burst. Yeah. You actually scale quite well. Obviously, with the HP that you're getting from Soul Furnace, that gives more damage to your Titanic. You also do well with the AD scaling on your Q and your ult. So, you know, it is quite a powerful buy. And some people really are a fan of going, you know, items like Sterix and Titanic and these kind of more bruisery aggressive items on Sion.
Ooh, Tomo having to flash there as Inspired showed up. If that Decimate connects, it's so easy for Inspired to go Vault Breaker into the ultimate, into just instant dead on the Ashe. There was no way that Isles would have been able to save him. So nice blowing of the summoner spell there. And you know what that means is that now Bwipo's got that big powerful Sion ulti that we're talking about as one of the things that you can get some extra value out of if you have the AD, right? You just collide with the guy into the full decimating smash, into the Titanic once you have it or whatever. But man, this is going to be so frustrating, it feels like, because Dignitas just haven't found any way to deal with just Bwipo doing whatever he wants in his bottom lane.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was really surprised that they didn't kind of swap back in that position where Srtty had DP and Dignitas' bot lane based. I thought that they would go top and match and then TP Srtty down to catch that wave that ended up getting denied to the tower, because both of the matchups feel worse on the Dignitas side, right? It's like you have Ashe Karma, you want to bully this Renata and Kalista, and on the other side, you have this Aatrox that's supposed to be a good pick. That was your 5th pick counter pick into the Sion, and as a result, both of them are kind of losing out and not getting to have the laning phases that they wanted. Bwipo even took a plate down bot, and he's the one in the 1v2, so things are looking tough.
Aatrox is down almost 20 CS, and now Inspired sitting on a control ward. Oh man, this is going to be so nasty. If Isles and Tomo step up just even a little bit. Okay, Isles already in some danger here as Massu's ready with the Fade's call. Isles is the target, trying to get himself away. Flashes over the wall, but it ain't going to matter. The Rend gets it done. First blood over to FlyQuest.
Nicely done by Massu there. You know, I think a lot of people would have thought that was a play that was just completely over because he was out of range of the Rend, but Massu flashes closer to the wall there to be able to get back in range for the Rend, gets that first blood. Well played by FlyQuest. And peep the build from Bwipo here. He has the Tunneler, so he's going aggressive, but he already grabbed an Executioner's. So he's grabbed the heal cut. He's just saying, you know what, Srtty, we're gonna scrap. Like I got my chainmail. My duties as a tank are now complete. I spent my 100 gold. Now it's time to beat this guy down.
And I actually really like going for the Executioner specifically versus something like the Bramble Vest as well, just because Bramble Vest requires the other guy to stab you.
And a lot of times, Bramble Vest sucks.
Yes, also Bramble Vest sucks. Look, I was trying to be a little bit more polite about it, but if we're just going to go ahead and be direct, yes, I don't like Bramble Vest. But it can't apply the Grievous Wounds aggressively. Bwipo wants to play aggressively, and I don't blame him for it, as Dignitas will now move towards this second set of grubs. They were not there to challenge for the first set, and they know that FlyQuest used some ultimates in the top side fight to find that first pick on Isles. FlyQuest undeterred, ready to keep the fight going. Massu in some danger, he gets shuffled back, but the cleanse is going to keep him safe for now. They've locked up Sheiden, focusing down the Sejuani, and Massu gets the kill. He hasn't died yet, and now finally going to get taken down as Keine gets the kill there. Busio barely gets away, and the feat of warfare is claimed as the Azir finally falls. Isles takes a blast cone back behind enemy lines, but Bwipo's chasing Tomo down. One more hit will do it, and Bwipo gets the 4th win of the game for FlyQuest. Isles is trapped between 2 turrets, and he don't want to be there no more. It's a 5-1 game. It's a slaughter for FlyQuest.
Yeah, FlyQuest get everything there. Take down all 4 Dignitas members. Yeah, Bwipo is down in the bot lane, but he is Sion. He's going to be able to get up there. Srtty stays bot because he has no TP, so he grabs a couple plates. That's nice for him, but at the end of the day, it's not going to really matter as things going really rough now here for Dignitas. And I'm not even sure what happened with the bailout there from Busio. I'm kind of curious if we watch that replay again, where that bailout did go, because I never saw it actually pop up on Massu, so I'm not sure if he was under enough pressure that he had to use the bailout on himself, or if it was just a misclick or something.
Let's see.
Because I feel like it could have gone potentially even worse for Dignitas. So Keine goes in here. He knows there's no flash on Massu, so flash in, does land the ulti, scoops him right back into the ulti there from Sheiden. Massu getting quite low here at this point. And this is where I was expecting bailout to come out. I see that bailout, I think it was on Inspire or something? I thought I saw the graphic there, but I didn't actually ever see it come out on Massu, so it's not like it got used aggressively there. I think it was maybe just like a misclick.
Yeah, I didn't see exactly what happened to it either. I was really trying to pay attention, but I didn't see the little
I think I saw the graphic for it
thing
under like a pile of champions. I think it did get used because I saw the little kind of like orbs that are spinning around you when you do these bailout.
Ooh, Inspired now immediately re-engaging back onto Keine, who wanted to try to find a pick onto the FlyQuest jungler, but Inspired flashing away defensively to keep himself in a good enough spot as Keine is now overextended and Srtty's made his way into the fight, but Quad has already killed Keine, and now Sheiden is low, but the rest of Dignitas are ready to strike back. Busio dies next, and Tomo's taking the kill. Massu will try to hop, skip, and jump away, but there's no bailout for that. A double kill back to the Ashe, and Dignitas comes to life.
Nicely done. This time it's Dignitas' turn to make the TP play because Bwipo has no teleport and he still doesn't have the ulti. He's up towards topside, so Srtty makes it happen with the teleport. He got paid from the plates on that last play, and this time he's able to join up and get Tomo paid. Well, Bwipo is going to be the one getting a lot of plates up on that top side. So Bwipo has gotten plates in bot, in mid, and top, so he's going to be very rich. But Dignitas, this was an important play for them. They're going here for Inspired. Notice Inspired, the timing as the passive E is going to get activated. He immunes it with the ult, goes in onto Keine. They do arrive, but as Massu is coming up here, look at Tomo. He's free-firing on the enemy ADC the entire time. Tomo is never really threatened, and even though Keine goes in, it's a beautiful Q flash there from Srtty. Gets in, they take down Busio as the bailout that was used onto Massu, and then Massu is just going to get slowed down, chased down, bailout expires, nowhere to go. They grab another onto him.
And now Keine dropping the ulti to get away from Bwipo. Nobody wants this Sion anywhere near them. Bwipo, despite the fact that he has been building aggressively, it's still Sion. He's still so tanky and hard to deal with. 639 HP already earned from Soul Furnace. He's scaling up, man.
I will say, though, his first item is going to be super delayed because he has Executioners, a Chain Vest, a Tunneler, and Swifties.
Garage sale.
Yeah, and none of those combine into like anything else.
Come on, man. You don't want to combine a Tunneler with your Swiftness boots? Get a little bit of Grievous Wounds in there?
You start digging underground. It's a new upgraded boot.
Stuff the cookie in there, too. He's got a couple of those still sitting in the inventory. But
shoe cookie.
Looks like we've got, there you go, Feats of Warfare claimed for FlyQuest. Now it's extra swift Swifty boots as they lock in that bonus move speed reward for themselves. 2,500 gold lead, 3 kills ahead, 5 grubs to 1. The one thing Dignitas is really winning in here is their dragon count. They got those first 2. They've set themselves up in a spot where maybe they can try to put a little pressure on if they can secure Soul Point here in the next, 3.5 minutes by getting that one. But it's a tall ask.
It definitely is. But at the same time, they are down only that 2K, so we'll see what they're going to be able to get done here.
Yeah, this is a problem for Srtty. Inspired and Quad just putting the work in on the Aatrox, but a lot of healing. Q3 connects onto Inspired there, gives Srtty that extra burst of healing that's still not enough. Inspired takes the kill.
And nicely done. Going to be able to get that. It is a 3,000 gold lead now, and Quad going to be able to grab the tower off the back of it. So definitely things getting worse here for Dignitas. We'll see if they can find a way to either get some picks or just kind of slow down the pace of the game a little bit here to get Keine and Tomo some time to scale up.
Yeah, man, 3,500, 16 minutes into the game. Very tough stuff. Rift Herald spawning now, too. And with the way that FlyQuest likes to play aggressive when they've got these early leads, when they've got Bwipo on a champ like this Sion that can join fights so easily, you know that they're not going to allow Dignitas to try to come anywhere near it. This Rift Herald looks to be the next play already as FlyQuest are moving up towards that topside river, but they did just have the resets from Quad and Inspired, making their way back out on the map, moving towards that top half. Bwipo's making the move here. Choo-choo! Here comes Sion, but he does not find the collision there with Tomo, who's made his way back underneath the tier 1 turret. Stays safe for now. Bwipo just trying to see if he could force anything out there, but Dignitas playing patient enough to keep themselves in a good spot. It does cost ulti for ulti as the Enchanted Crystal Arrow is used to keep Tomo safe after Bwipo charged in. Srtty and Isles running after the Sion now. Srtty wanting to really try to put some extra damage onto this guy, but Bwipo is not the target you want to be focusing on early, so Srtty will take his exit with the Umbral Dash over the wall.
Yep, going to be able to hop out over the wall, and Bwipo has the Titanic completed now, so he is very strong. You can see massive lead in top, massive lead in jungle as well, pretty much mirroring the advantages they do have up there. So going to be feeling really good about it and going to be able to grab this Herald now, likely uncontested, as there's just no one really from Dignitas in the area.
No.
You can see that Sheiden's down on the bot side trying to hover behind Keine to see, okay, can we actually overload one side of the map, look for a play? Keine just going to deny as many minions as he can, and then we'll take this tower. But because it's Bwipo that's down there to answer, there's not even any point in trying to actually make a 2v1 play, so they're just going to take their small advantage there. Bwipo farms up a jungle camp and accept that it is that trade of Herald for the turret. And hopefully Keine can continue to accelerate his gold as he has that second mask, going to be working towards a Riftmaker, and we'll see where he goes from there.
Okay, 3-7 for Dignitas. They've found a couple of good moments there, being able to get a couple of kills early. They got the one on Massu that we talked about, might have been just more of an error from the bailout, not finding the right target. But the play afterwards where Srtty was joining through the use of the teleport while Bwipo was mining plates, I feel like that's what we have to see more of from Dig here. We need to see them find fights that are not fair, because a fair fight on a 3,500 gold deficit 18 minutes into the game is not it.
No, it's definitely going to be really tough. And Kaine's job is just so important in this game because there's no MR at all on Bwipo. So he is really going to be the one that has to deal with him mostly. And he is pretty strong right now. He's the only one on Dignitas that does have any sort of a gold lead. So we'll see if they can find a play. They do have pretty good playmaking, but one of the things that is tough about it is they're so reliant on CC for their hard engage, and Busio, as he often does, rush to Mikhail's. And I just think this item is so criminally underrated.
So good.
So often you see people in these situations just go like Moonstone or whatever, and I feel like against this kind of composition, it just completely denies their win condition, right? Now you have Cleanse, now you have Kalista Ultimate, now you have Mikhail's. You have so many ways to answer it, you know, let alone Bwipo just blocking it, not being killable, that it's so difficult to see how Dignitas find that perfect engage to really be able to get a kill.
And there it is, the stopping of the Drake stack, the third one of the game, now claimed by FlyQuest, so Dignitas still just sitting on the 2. And it feels like with that, Dig are now kind of in the spot where your only option is positive mental attitude and scale, right? Try not to lose any more than you already have. Yep, teamwork and friendship, heart of the cards, just get it a little bit later in the game, and hopefully Azir and Ashe can get to the point where they can find something here. Because the problem is that front line on FlyQuest, the Sion, the Vi, those are the biggest individual gold leads this game. Inspired and Bwipo are totally unafraid to just full send this into the middle of Dignitas' entire squad if they need to, because they know the Quad and Massu will be able to follow up with the damage.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think that Azir and Ashe can actually deal with that front line, and he would be able to kill them off eventually. But the problem is, it's not like you're just going to be sitting there and free firing. You're going to have a super fed Vi flying at your face and a Sylas flying at your face, and you know there's going to be a hostile takeover coming over everyone as well. So it does make it so difficult for them to actually have the time to stack lethal tempo and get that damage out. They are now both on 2 items, so they are real threats, but it's just going to be very tough, I think, for Dignitas to create enough space for them to actually be able to stand and fire long enough to kill that front line.
All right, so we got Otacon on the board. Nobody's going for him here just yet, but sometimes when teams get a little bit desperate, you can see them, you know, kind of YOLO it a little bit more than they might otherwise want to. It is one thing that I worry a bit about sometimes for a lot of our teams is the disrespect towards Otacon and his resistance shredding. Even if a team is ahead in a spot like FlyQuest and they try to start it up but don't have the damage, it can end up becoming a really big, liability for them as they try to complete that objective. So nobody's going to begin it just yet, but you can see Dignitas have a lot of men in that area. Looks like those recalls are going to be channeled now as they recognize FlyQuest isn't going for it.
Yeah, I mean, not even just the resistance shredding, but the actual damage it does itself. Dignitas, specifically, against 100 Thieves the other day, they tried to go, when they were in the lead, for this Otacon take. And Sheiden was basically just watching where the approaching 100 Thieves members were instead of actually dodging the abilities. He was playing the Fury in that game. He got down to 10% HP before the fight actually broke out, just from tanking these abilities. And this is not just like a dunk on Sheiden thing. You see this consistently in pro across every single league. When they have these contested Otacon fights, people are so focused on where the engage is going to come from, who they need to be watching for, that they stop watching Otacon and the abilities, and you will get absolutely crushed by Otacon if you are not dodging the spins, if you're not dodging the orbs coming out. Just does a ton of damage.
Yeah, and nobody's starting him still, but it is FlyQuest with control over that pit, placing down the vision, clearing out anything from Dignitas, at least just making it scary for Dig to contemplate, well, what if they are there? As Quad steps forward into the enemy jungle here, does get stunned up a little bit by Sheiden, but honestly, it's not a ton.
Heartsteel
Inspired and Busio both nearby. Yeah, Heartsteel feels good, sounds good, is good. But now we've got Massu ready to drive here into the Rift Herald. Where is he driving it? Okay, it's turning around. Had to just make a sharp left there as they look to take down the tier 1 turret. Inspired going right back in, looking for Keine. A little bit more damage, gets it done. And Massu takes him out. Now with all those spears in Sheiden, he's looking to find a second. There's not enough damage to do it, but FlyQuest already got what they came for. A kill on the mid laner, a kill on the mid lane turret, and a kill on the tier 2 to boot. FlyQuest get everything in mid.
Yeah, Keine tried to basically time it there because Massu hopped in the Rift Herald. So I think Kaine's thought process was, as Massu hits the Rift Herald in the tower, he'll get popped out, and then I will time my Azir ultimate to instantly knock him back in. We'll kill Massu. That's how we'll come back. Makes sense as a plan. Unfortunately, the timing here was on point. The location was not. Massu popped out just to the right of that Azir wall. Had he gotten scooped in, I think it's actually a really good look. I respect the attempt there from Dignitas, but Massu did not pop out in the center of the lane. He popped out on that far right side, and we can see in the pivot that they took the Otacon right thereafter. As soon as that Azir ult did miss, that really was the end of the fight. And when you get all of the roses there from Otacon, you can see 45, 48, 54. It's just flying up over 60 now.
Versus 16
it's
on
like
Dignitas' side.
It's just still going up. So they have a lot at this point. And so they're going to have a pretty big XP advantage now, you know, because it does give you not only the extra AD, AP, but it is going to be a lot of experience. So 46 at the end of the day, they are feeling really good about that. I mean, you look across the board, it's like you know, a level and a half for Inspired. It's a full level for Bwipo. It's at least a level and a half, almost 2 levels in mid lane. Massu's got almost a full level. You know, support has half a level, whatever. But it's like that experience advantage is really big, and that is not showing itself in the gold lead. But of course, it is going to display itself in the fights.
FlyQuest's jungler is higher EXP value than Dignitas' mid laner. That is the reality of the situation for Dig as they try to run back through their own jungle without getting caught by FlyQuest. Bwipo wanted to see if he could block off that escape route, but not quite fast enough to get there in time. Thing is, though, this map is now completely choked away from Dignitas. It feels like they cannot go anywhere without FlyQuest just being ready to answer the challenge and say, okay, no, you can't come here, otherwise you have to fight. And immediately, Dignitas does not want to take those fights. Keine jumps back over the wall to try to get away from Bwipo. Isles does not have the same luxury, forced to flash in order to guarantee his own life, and FlyQuest will waste no time. They'll immediately turn their attention back down over to the bottom lane, and another tier 2 turret. They already got that next Drake. The tier 2 going to bring that gold lead back up to over 5,000. It had been reduced from what it was earlier because Srtty claimed the tier 1 up in the top lane, but now with the TPs coming in from FlyQuest, they want to try to stop him before he can get away. Srtty not going to complete the recall, goes up into the river, but Quad is waiting. World-Ender for a little bit of extra speed might give Srtty a better chance of getting away from this. Inspired, Q's over the wall the wrong way, but it don't matter. He's still got the ulti. Quad goes on a killing spree. Srtty goes home in a body bag, and FlyQuest just doesn't stop.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised because it's hard to know, right? We see everything. We're going to see if Quad is in trouble here.
I don't know if he is, my friend. Tomo might have got the arrow on him, but Quad is just immediately ready to turn the fight right back onto the Dignitas AD carry. The shield from Karma keeps Tomo alive a little bit longer, but Quad is on a rampage, and Sheiden has to flash out too. Isles already used his flash earlier, and there's no way home. A double kill for the Sylas. They thought they had him caught, but he turns it right back around.
Yeah, not even in trouble at the end of the day, and FlyQuest's going to be able to go right back to the Baron. You know, we have the God's Eye view, so we get to see everything. I feel like Srtty could have just finished his recall, but of course he sees that blue trinket come down. He doesn't know how close they are to actually being able to stop. You know, maybe he could have even tried to TP, but instead he tries to run. He gets picked, and it kind of just starts that chain of events. As Bwipo up topside does not care about anything that they are doing to him right now. Has ending despair, so does have some of that magic resist in now as well. They grab the Baron. Now it's time to just clean up the additional jungle camps here, extend the lead even further. They've got 2 dragons. They've got the Baron buff. They've got an 8.6k gold lead. And those items are coming through here now. The zone is even done for Quad. You can see 3rd item down there for Massu is completed. A dead man's finished now for Bwipo. So they all have 3 items. And you're looking across, no one yet has that for Dignitas. It's really hard to see how they'd hold.
I think don't do it now.
35 seconds.
It's still in, but...
Wait, Ashe, wait, Srtty guys. Come, make.
No flash, Ashe. No flash, no flash, no flash, no flash. Help him.
That's a freak out.
Keep fighting more if we can. Keep fighting more if you see angle. Oh, Sejuani just queued in, Massu.
I'd queue. Maybe I'm in range. Let's go.
Karma no flash, by the way. She's
yeah, Sejuani no Q yet. Go Nash. And Bwipo, you defend bot fast.
I will.
Really good comms there, honestly, from FlyQuest. Very clear. As Bwipo, they're going to look for him.
Yeah, they get the shuffle on him. Flash away from the Sion. Bwipo still trying to get away from this. Turns the ulti back around the other direction, and Quad's ready to jump in. Tomo's the one who's truly in danger again, as he's caught up, and Busio ends up taking the kill. Quad dodging away from some of the aggro here with the stasis. There's your Zhonya's hourglass power spike we're talking about as Srtty goes after Massu. The bailout's not even needed. Dig tried, Dig died. FlyQuest going straight for the heart of the base as the bottom lane and mid lane inhibitors both fall 14-3, and they're on to the Nexus turrets. The first one's down. Isles is running back into the fountain. This one's done. FlyQuest takes the dub.
Today
Nice.
really good.
Yeah.
Nicely done by FlyQuest, able to get a clean win there. A lot of credit to Bwipo, I think, deserved by this one for all of the pressure he was able to put on, even in the 1v2 bot. The swap that they pulled off there worked out so well for the team. They had Aatrox locked in this 2v1 where he was struggling. They had Bwipo in a 1v2 where he was thriving, and things looked really good from there for FlyQuest. Dignitas, unfortunately, will end the positioning phase without a win against those top 4 teams. They did have their moments in all of their matches against them, but at the end of the day, couldn't close the deal, and FlyQuest are going to come out on top.
Another win for FlyQuest. Reminder to all y'all, LTA North Twitch subs are back. Join the community for exclusive content, including the League of Legends in-game emote, Tell Me Everything, for paid and gifted subs. Plus, get access to all of our exclusive LTA North emotes like Gigaflowers, that one's mine, or Azael Nodders, which is a very cursed one, but in the best kind of way. Now, that's taken care of. The game is wrapped